Do you take the red pill and believe that Pokemon Z version is going to be confirmed for December's Coro Coro? Or do you take the blue pill and believe that 7th generation is going to be confirmed in December's Coro Coro? Or are you tired of this outdated movie reference and it's just going to be a movie anyways, because Gamefreak is trolling us and December is normally going to be a movie announcement, even though this picture is sparking everyone's imagination? It roughly translates out to that there's going to be a big Pokemon announcement for December's Coro Coro, so we're all waiting anxiously. Like, we can't wait patiently anymore. We didn't get a Pokemon game in 2015. We're all losing our minds, and there are cases to be made for both Pokemon Z version and the 7th generation being very, very likely on either side. So let's go and talk about that and figure out an opinion in the comment down below, and leave a like if you like this idea of a discussion. So with Pokemon X and Y, I think one of the biggest things is that there's a lot of loose ends, that we still have tons of information about Zygarde. Zygarde's storyline is getting more filled out every month when we get more information on it, and there has to be a game to go along with it. Pokemon Z would make a lot of sense, and since it's a sequel, we could focus the entire game on Zygarde, and it really wouldn't matter too much, so that's going to be points for Zygarde. Also, the entire story of this Pokemon is so insane. It's actually starting to get pretty serious, and it's really well thought out, so that's points to the storyline right there. So that's going to be one thing. Also, there's still a lot of other loose ends in the story. What about the Badlands? There's just all sorts of locked areas, places we don't have access to. So that's rumored to hold something key to the storyline that we'll figure out. Also, the Train to Nowhere. Some people speculate that that actually just goes to another part of Kalos and can continue the storyline there. And even the Strange Souvenir. People will say that was supposed to represent Zygarde's complete form and not an actual new game coming out. So that could be something right there. And then maybe the biggest piece of evidence out of all, that we've always had a sequel. Yellow version, Crystal version, Emerald version, we've always had something to continue the storyline with, so why stop now? But at the same time, there's actually an interview with Masuda who says that maybe it was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Like, it can be interpreted, because he said he wanted to tie together the story instead of a direct sequel with a remake. So maybe that was it. We branched our information on Mega Evolutions, we got to understand more about the game itself, and we still got a very solid storyline being told, and maybe the Pokemon X, Y, and Z anime is what we're getting instead of Z version. That's a lot of reasonable stuff. However, some people will say that the Ancient Souvenir is going to be Mega Zygarde's complete form, but at the same time, it could just mean it's the 7th generation legendary Pokemon. Game Freak likes trolling. Game Freak likes throwing out something unexpected. Masuda said in the same interview, they like surprising their fans. They don't want to be predictable, so maybe that means instead of being predictable and doing a sequel, you just skip it. It doesn't kill the franchise if you do that, and new generation games are guaranteed to have more sales than any kind of sequel or remake. So if they do that, it's just going to be better for business. And there's also, from the Pokemon Go announcement, they showed the timeline for 2016, yet only used the main series games. We had Red Green, we had Gold and Silver, we had X and Y, and then 2016. Also, if we look, from Black and White to X and Y, that was 3 years. From X and Y to a potential 7th generation, that's 3 years. And if we pull up the Pokemon timeline, it gets even more in depth. Do we want to go until 2017 without a new generation of Pokemon? That could be quite a bit of time, because if we get Z version, that's going to be for 2016, then we have to wait till 2017, and that's also going to be 2 movies and more on the anime. Can that story for Kalos hold out? So really, it's kind of a coin flip, because there are good cases for both sides. Business-wise, moving on to a next generation-wise, makes sense for a 7th generation, but there's so much left open in Kalos that we need a Z version at the same time, so there's still, it could be anyone's guess. Also, what about Volcanion? We haven't seen any official announcement on Volcanion yet, and that could be easily implemented into a Pokemon 6th generation. Also, if we look at it, there's the least amount of Pokemon ever introduced in a generation. That's all of them on screen except for the legendaries after Zygarde. That was a very small roster, so naturally you just want to get to a new generation, get some more Pokemon in there, and maybe it will last longer. But then some people will think, what about Generation 6.5? We improve upon Kalos, maybe that train leads to a different area, a different region of Kalos, but we're still in Kalos, therefore we can stay with the Zygarde storyline and then find and discover new Pokemon. Now, I don't believe in the Generation 6.5 theory myself, because it doesn't make sense. If we're still in Kalos and we're finding new Pokemon, like, why? It would be kind of weird, and I feel like it would just be unnecessary, because if we're in a different area technically, even if it's called Kalos and we're finding new Pokemon, it's a new generation of Pokemon. So I don't know how you introduce half of a generation. I'm kind of on the fence about all of that, but overall there are a lot of theories. Now, one of the biggest things is someone thought, well, it has to be Z version or it has to be whatever because it's the 20th anniversary coming up. Now, I honestly don't think that the 20th anniversary has any weight to it whatsoever, because it's the 20th anniversary. Like, generally, when we think about it, the 25th anniversary is going to be the bigger part. People look forward to a 25th. That's a quarter of a century. That makes more of a standing. You know, you have 5, 10, maybe 15, not really as much on 20, but the 25th is the one that stands out, at least as far as I'm concerned with understanding culture and whatnot. We're also getting first generation games actually put onto the virtual console, and that can just be interpreted as the 20th anniversary. Like, it doesn't have to be super duper special. Some people were even thinking that we were getting full on first generation remakes. Double remakes, that doesn't make sense, especially because we had Omega and Ruby Alpha Sapphire not too long ago. So I think we're a ways off, and we're probably going to get a 4th generation remake long before we see first generation getting any kind of revival once again, because I feel that the games already have a solid amount to them. So that's just kind of it. There's all sorts of stuff that really could mean anything, so we have to wait patiently. That's what this video was about, showing all sides of the story, showing everything that could possibly be announced for a new game. Like I said, could just be a movie, and none of this matters until maybe January, maybe February. Maybe it's going to be a crazy summer release for Z version, so we get a rush 7th generation. Maybe it's a 7th generation is going to be summer. We don't know anything just yet. That's what the fun about speculating is. However, inside of your fun, be wary. Websites are out there to trick you, like this article I found right here. First off, you can look that they say, oh, we're going to get Mega Johto starters. So obviously, they're just fishing for views right now. Pokemon Z release date, December issue of Coro Coro. No, that's not how, that's just garbage right there. That's just straight up lying, because we don't know if it's even going to be a Pokemon game. We don't know if it's even going to be Pokemon Z. As I've said, 7th generation is very plausible. People are just telling you what you want to hear. I'm going to be the one that says no. You can trust me when it comes to my opinion, because I'm not censoring myself. I'm going to tell you what I think is reasonable, and not just be like, well, everyone's searching Pokemon Z right now, so I could do Pokemon Z. And if I say Pokemon Z, people are going to let me for it. Naturally, more people are expecting Z, but I'm the one still fighting for the 7th generation, and there are some people that believe it, so it's not only me. It's not this out there theory. So people, and if you just scroll down through the article, they say a lot of weird things. They're interpreting the announcement as a guaranteed game announcement. And then at the last part, they say it could be Z or something else. Well, then don't put in the title that you're saying it's going to be Z. Because then people read this, get the wrong idea of what the game is going to be or what to expect, and then they go and tell everyone, oh, Z version's getting confirmed on December before it happens. And it either spoils the hype, or people run around with this skewed idea of what Pokemon's trying to do, because that Masuda interview seems pretty foolproof that we might not have a Z version and all this other information. You know, it's just, you know, get ready. December hype's coming. Stay informed, but also, what do you think? Comment down below, like I said earlier. Leave a like, subscribe maybe if you stayed this long. I'm just here to try to provide content and talk about Pokemon awesomeness in a time where we don't really have much games going on. So you guys enjoy the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.